Welcome to Leadership, the Secret Sauce, the podcast where we talk to extraordinary coaches and leaders to dive into the realms of leadership and coaching. We're your hosts, Dave Lipsky and Matt Dodson. So let's jump in with another guest and find out their answer to the question, what is your secret sauce? Well, before we dive in, a special thanks to our sponsor, Character Matters Coaching and Consulting. At Character Matters, we believe leadership isn't just about results. It's about who you are while achieving them. Whether you're facing career transitions, building stronger teams, or navigating personal growth, we help leaders unlock clarity, strengthen resilience, and lead with authenticity. Because when your character grows, your impact grows. Learn more at charactermatterscoaching.com. In today's episodes, we are going to sit down with Satu Järvilahti. Is that how you pronounce it? Make sure.
That's good enough.
It's good enough to uncover her secret sauce of leadership and coaching. We're going to get into her story, her challenges, maybe some things she's learned along the way. We're very curious to hear her story because we think it's interesting, and we think our listeners would like to hear it, especially how she thinks about coaching at the present moment. We know you won't want to miss it. So, Dave, where do we go?
Let's start off with an energy check-in. First of all, welcome, Satu. And I want to make sure I get the pronunciation, at least of the first name right. Satu?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
So, Satu, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being low, 10 being high, what is your energy level at the present moment?
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. It's so great to be here with you guys. Energy level, okay. I would say it's 8.5. It's Friday. That's great, but it's 10 a.m. and I'm not a morning person. But I'm sure the level will go up because I'm very excited to have this conversation with you guys.
Thank you very much. Matt, where are you at?
I probably 8.5 or 9. I've been anxious to get back into the podcast studio. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I will say we've had some recent posts and some publishing of some of our episodes from ICF Converge 2025. So just for some reason, being in studio seems to make it different, not worse, not better. It's just different. And so really, I'm glad to be here. How about you, Dave?
Very cool. I think I'm at my first 10 because I'm expecting a grandchild. So, right, nothing could be better. The sun is out on the mountain overlooking the Woodbury Commons, New York. It's a chilly day, but we already had a nice walk with Max, my puppy. So I'm like raring to go. So
it's so funny that Max is your puppy because Max is my son.
You know what? Good name. And
yes.
And Max is the only one that still greets me and my family. So
I understand that.
Yeah. So Satu, as you are on a plane, train, or automobile, and you're traveling around, and somebody turns to you and say, what do you do? How do you describe what you do?
Interesting question. I would say I'm a mom, a wife, a daughter, a farmer, ex-banker, but now I'm a leadership and talent development consultant and a coach. So a lot of things, right?
We appreciate the order that you put them in too. Thank you.
Yeah. First things first.
Satu, let me just ask this. Everyone has a sort of a turning point, and especially if anybody looks at your LinkedIn profile or your CV, you had a turning point not too long ago. I think you posted, I looked at it again this morning, just around making a big shift. So maybe you can, a little bit different question, like when did you realize what your sort of secret sauce was and you need to pursue it? And how does it change you as a person?
Actually, I have to say, I kind of have known it since I was a little kid. Because, I was always someone that people came to and, confided in me. And I just love to listen to them and ask questions and help. And only much later, I kind of realized that I'm probably a bit of an empath, And it's not easy to be sensitive, but that's also my superpower, I realized later. And that's also how I found my secret sauce. We can talk about that later. But basically, I have a long corporate career, over 20 years, and mostly in banking, which is a tough business, I have to say, especially for someone like me. And I guess one of the turning points was when I got my first leadership role. I was heading a private banking unit back in Finland. And, the people, my team, they were all smarter than me, more experienced, real experts. I was a young lady. And somehow, just naturally, and maybe I was using my intuition, I really adopted this philosophy that I still today really believe in, both in leadership and in coaching, which is servant leadership. So I just really went in with the idea that I'm here to serve you. I'm here to enable you. I'm here to empower you, that you can be your absolute best, that you can be your most authentic selves, you can perform. And that really helped me, to build that trust, that, they can trust that I will take care of things. They just focus on what they do best. And it was really rewarding. And I learned so much. But then I have to say, that was in Finland. Then we moved to Switzerland and I worked at Credit Suisse. And suddenly that style didn't work. I was considered too nice. Because Switzerland, is much more hierarchical and formal culture than Finland. And I was so confused and I really struggled and I really started to question myself. And I had to adjust, not necessarily so much, towards my team, but managing upwards. That was a new thing for me. We don't really do that much in Finland, which is a very equal culture. And I definitely learned some new ways, and, how to show up. But ultimately, I then stayed true to myself and to my values. It's most important. And I found a place to feel at home in Credit Suisse, and that was, of course, the learning and development, function. So the leadership and talent development function in our group HR, and that was my last corporate role, which I absolutely loved. So I was leading this company-wide global leadership development and mobility program, 2-year program. I had these 30 amazing young leaders all over the world. And I was able to empower them and coach them and, on their journey. And it was just wonderful and so rewarding. And there, of course, you heard the word coaching. So, and by the way, I just maybe mention that back in 2016, I already, I had like a career break, 6 months. So I took a coaching course. It was very rigorous, very thorough, 6 months course. I really loved it. That was also maybe one of the turning points because it was a self-discovery journey, of course, because you start with that, right? Building your self-awareness. You have to first coach yourself to be able to coach others. And that was such a wonderful thing. And I was so excited. But then, I was back at the corporate world. And as said, I did coach there a lot in-house. And that's, of course, a different role than being external coach. But then, so 2023, I resigned from Credit Suisse because once again, we moved. And this time we moved to the US. So here I am in Connecticut. My husband's American. This is his hometown. By the way, that's also something, when you have to go to a new culture and, also express yourself with another language, that is tough. It's a wild ride, but it's amazing. You learn so much. You have to grow. It's good. It keeps you young. But anyway, so now I've been here for 2 years. This is a very long answer. So I've been here for 2 years and now as an independent entrepreneur doing consulting and coaching.
I think my initial thought is that it takes incredible courage to go across different cultures and then try to practice what you did in the previous place.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about some of the for our audience, they're probably mostly in the UK and the US. What's the hard thing about coaching when you move cultures? Like, what's the hardest part?
Well, I mean, of course, it's the cultural awareness, right? I mean, there are definitely differences. Then again, I have to say, because I've lived in many countries and I've worked with like people from all over the world, in the end, there are also a lot of similarities, you know, there are universal things, you know, about being a human. Um, and I think in the end, I focus more on those than the differences. Of course, you have to be, you know, conscious about them. And that's all about the ethical stuff we do as coaches. But I rather focus on the person in front of me. It's always a unique individual.
Mm.
But of course, you know, then a more practical level, it's hard to, you know, get to know the people, find your network, find your support, you know, somehow learn how to behave and act, you know, according to the norms, you know. So as said, it's never easy, but I would do it all over again. I mean, it's so much fun.
Yeah. Many moons ago, I had an interview in Helsinki for an
Oh,
investment,
wow.
maybe about 20 years ago, and I landed, and I really didn't. It was like a time where I didn't know anything about the culture, and I found it so. The what you're saying about equality of everybody talking to anybody and no hierarchy to speak of.
Yes.
But it also was like it was a little. I didn't have my footing. Like I felt awkward. So I'm very interested in like when you are coaching people that are working across cultures, how do you help them like understand where they are and adjust and adapt the way that you did?
Yeah. Well, I think, and this is also already related to my secret sauce, but we can get to that later. But I always start with curiosity, open mind, you know. When in Rome, be like the Romans. I mean, be open to what's there, don't judge. Try to learn as much as possible, you know. I mean, there are great things everywhere. There are pros and cons in everything. And that's one of the gifts you get, that nothing is black and white anymore. You know, you see the world through so many lenses, and it's hard to say what is good or bad, right or wrong in the end. So one tip is just, you know, be open, be curious, try to learn as much as you can. Really try to integrate, you know, be with the local people. If you can, you know, get those, you know, relationships, maybe a job, or, you know, study something, whatever, you know, go to the cafes, restaurants, you know, market squares, just feel it, you know, with your body, with all your senses. And then don't take yourself too seriously. It's going to be a bit awkward. You're going to make mistakes, you know, you're not perfect. It's okay. That's fine. So, you know, give some grace to yourself, because you're already being so brave, you know, and you know, you will learn so much. And you know, anyways, life is like that. It's a place where we can play a bit and experiment.
Hmm. Satu, how would you describe your secret sauce?
So yeah, so you probably already heard some words there. I have 3 C's, and then I have a little spice.
Mm.
The 3 C's are curiosity, of course, care, that's the core, and calm, and that comes from my Finnishness as well. I will explain this a bit better. And then the spice, of course, is fun, you know, and humor, and you know, playfulness. Yeah, and I use this, you know, in leadership, in coaching, in life in general. It's just who I am. So curiosity, that's of course, you know, what I was saying, learning, growing, uh, you know, you'd have to wonder about things, you got to question things, you have to be open to new ways of seeing the world. Just, you know, try and fail, try again, experiment, create. So it's really curiosity towards myself, you know, building self-awareness, but also towards others, and the world. I think there's so much out there, and we should always be a little bit like the little kids, exploring the world. Then care, that is, as I said, the core. So it's very important to me, empathy, kindness, compassion, trying to understand other people's human experience as much as you can, empowering people, just showing love, it's about love in the end, right? And then calm, that's about holding space, pausing, reflecting, being there for yourself and for others. And as said, it's probably in my Finnish DNA. We have this word Sisu in Finnish, which is grit, resilience, perseverance. You don't complain, you just do it, without fussing about it. It's like, yeah, down to earth. And then the fun, of course, it's important, I think, in life. As said, don't take yourself and will too seriously. Laugh, play, be kind to your inner child, enjoy life.
Yeah. If someone shadowed you for a week, right? Where would they see the secret sauce more clearly? Like, especially around the calm. That's more unique. We haven't heard that yet. Tell us a little bit about that. Where would they see that?
As said, this is so much who I am. So I guess you can see it everywhere. Like, when I go to a grocery store, I, talk to the cashier. I'm curious. I care. But also, of course, it shows up, hopefully, I don't know, but hopefully in my coaching sessions, in my leadership development trainings, if I'm facilitating in front of people in a room, there you have to stay calm. Let's say there are 15 people in the room. There's a lot of different energies. And as said, I can easily sense people's energies, which is great, but it's also very tiring. So also there, it's kind of a coping mechanism that I just stay calm, and sort of, no matter what happens, it's like, okay, it's going to be fine. We'll get through this. It's also that you can stay flexible, but you also stay grounded. Also, I would say just in general, even with my family, Max is a teenager, so there's sometimes some emotional stuff happening. So it's good to have this Finnishness that it's okay, it's going to be fine, let's just breathe, and, it's no fuss, it's okay. I think it's helpful, also often to other people. But mostly, I said, it's a coping mechanism for me because, I kind of think it's important that I take that pause before I react, that I can really be thoughtful what I want to say or how I want to act and behave. I mean, for sure, it doesn't happen every time. I mean, I'm I'm a human too, and also quite emotional. So I'm still practicing this, but I've noticed many times that in when things get tough, and if there's some crisis, or even if there's not, it's helpful for me and for others to kind of they feel then supported somehow, or just safe.
Satu, let me ask you this question. So, especially sort of spanning both the Europe and then in the US the last couple of years, things are changing fast. And I saw something that you posted online about just AI and
Yeah.
what do you think in light of that? What do you see? You know, where do you think coaches need to adopt that or start doing something in order to stay relevant? We don't really typically ask coaches this question, but I'm just curious from your perspective around seeing things on both sides of the Atlantic. What do you see that coaches should start or stop doing?
I mean, first I will say that I really like it here in the US because, as you know, here it's a bit more fast paced. There is energy, there's optimism, there's entrepreneurial spirit. So it really suits me, you know. I mean, Europe is also great for many ways, but it's a bit more maybe conservative or slower. So it's fun for me to be here because sometimes I see things here that are not yet in Europe, so I can be the bridge there a little bit. But coming back to your question, since I'm a curious person, I'm of course thinking that you're supposed to be, or it's good to be first mover in everything rather than fighting against it. So that's why I'm like all for AI. I think, you know, it's here. I mean, it's here. So that's a fact. So, you know, we anyways can't just push it away. So then why shouldn't we just really dive in and try to understand it and, you know, benefit from it and use it for good? That's important thing. I mean, of course, there are a lot of also problematic aspects about it, but that's why I think we need more people who want to use it for good. And I would say that coaches should definitely look into that and, you know, partner with it. I think also, you know, they will always be, you know, we will always need human interaction. That will not go anywhere. It's a special thing. It's also the secret sauce we have, you know, as a you know, humanity and as a community. But AI can really help us, you know, and you know, give us new ideas or support us. So it's like, you know, complementing us in a way. And definitely in many, you know, professions, it's going to be very useful. So I would once again keep an open mind and, you know, try to really learn it, how to see how you can use it, and, you know, beyond just like as a Google, but really to make yourself more productive, but also make yourself more informed and more creative, maybe, you know, give you another viewpoints that you maybe didn't think of. So definitely I'm for that, but I want to say that human touch will always be there. And that's really important, you know, what we're doing now, like dialogue, you know, where we can actually co-create something new. What coaches should stop? That's hard. I would say maybe stop being so, well, I don't know, not we are hopefully not, but be so process oriented, or, you know, talk about all possible theories and methods. I mean, they are important, right? They are the foundation, but I would say that rather focus on the person, you know, really holistically, like, you know, mind, body, soul, heart. Really try to understand the person. And I think that's where the real transformation happens. Being present.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just switching it up a little bit? What's a bold belief you have about leadership that not everybody agrees with?
Oof, I don't know if it's bold, and I don't know if people agree, but I guess I would go back to that servant leadership. I mean, I don't think it's that radical, honestly, but for me it was, you know, like, I don't know, back 20 years ago, and I still believe in it. Really, I do, because I still see a lot of, you know, this sort of power and ego playing a big role in leadership. So I really believe that we should just focus more on growth, you know, on you know, humility, empathy, integrity, empowering people. Also, this sort of stewardship, you know, that you understand that as a leader you're responsible for doing something for greater good. Very idealistic, I know. That's who I am. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Satu, if you had it, what qualities would you look for in your own, like for a coach for yourself? What do you want from a coach?
Good question, because I don't have a coach now, and I think I really need one. So that's a very good question. Well, definitely somebody who's curious, right? Maybe a little bit of devil's advocate type, you know, just really, you know, pushing me a bit, but with empathy and care, right? It has to be a warm person, and someone who's really honest. I like to be very brutally honest with myself, and I like that. And, you know, sort of being straightforward. someone who can go deep. That's important for me. It's not just superficial stuff, but I want to really talk about real issues. And also someone who's, action and results oriented. I still have this corporate in me. It's like, yes, let's get things done. So it's great to talk, but, we also have to do something at some point.
That reminds me of something from James Clear recently, where he talked about, or just finished Atomic Habits. I know a lot of our listeners probably already read it, but he said there is a difference between motion and action. Motion being all the planning, but really what shifts a person is getting into action. And then we can evaluate what happens rather than just thinking about, let's just plan a little bit more. Eventually, someone has to put pen to paper or take a step or get on that Peloton or whatever it happens to be. Yeah.
Yes. I agree with that. Because also, as coaches, of course, it's about reflection and, trying to help our clients to find their own answers. But it's also about really then having those behaviors, right? And those actions that improve their lives, right?
One of the questions we like to ask, but beyond books, or maybe you have a book that you really like, what are some unconventional resources, maybe a podcast or a habit or a daily ritual that you'd recommend to other coaches or leaders?
I think I would go with grounding. Meaning it can be meditation, it can be a walk, it can be, going to the gym, reading a book, whatever it is. But what I mean with that is I think it would be so important for us really to pause and reflect and build that self-awareness really, to get that clarity. Also to take care of ourselves, especially leaders these days. I feel for them, it's tough. So have a time with yourself, right? Have a date with yourself, like every morning or before going to bed, and really think who I am, what I want, how are things going. Because then you will have the energy once again to focus on others, and you have something to give.
Dave, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I am stuck on that word Sisu. If I pronounce it right, I really love it. SI is it SISI or
SISU?
SISU.
Yeah.
And it's the translation as you described it. It sounds like grit. And what I really like about what you talked about is the balance of grounding and grit, like being present and then being able to kind of lean forward. I also really appreciate what you described about the culture and your journey and the bravery needed to kind of move forward and with as our life and circumstances and work change, which is happening for a lot of people. Yeah, you have to source your courage and some grit with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I picked up on that word too. That's
It's
probably the most. Yeah, it's yeah. I think also it translates into really around like your recommendation for like an unconventional resource would be is to some of our decisions are sourced from how we take care of maybe what goes on inside. And if I'm so manic or so busy thinking about whatever the next thing is, the crazy is really running the train. And maybe not necessarily where I want to go. And so I just appreciated it. Thank you for that. Satu, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? How do people find you?
Probably LinkedIn. My name is so weird that for sure, it's not hard to find. There's no one else like that. in this world. So yeah, LinkedIn. I mean, I would love to connect. As said, I've been only 2 years in this country, and it took a while to get a green card, by the way. So I couldn't start working right away, which was fine because I was able to just, integrate here with the family. So yeah, LinkedIn, I guess, is the best. Yeah.
Dave, what's next?
Yeah, I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsor, Character Matters Coaching. Get in touch with Matt to find out how you can help your organizations. And I wanted to just thank you so much for bringing that presence and sharing your journey. And now that I know you live over the mountain, we can wave to each other. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely. No, it's been a great pleasure, really. I mean, thank you so much, Dave and Matt. It was a wonderful conversation.
Well, thank you, everyone. And until next time, keep leading with courage, keep learning, and remember, your character is your greatest asset. From our sponsor, Character Matters Coaching and Consulting. Thanks for listening. If you love this podcast, please share it with another coach or leader. Make sure you go to the show notes to get all the resources from today's episode.